All right, I think we have gone live, so just making sure everything's working out the way it's supposed to be. Let me check social media and make a post there. Let's see. I need to share this new live stream link so that people actually know that it exists. Not that I really think that many people are going to show up tonight, I will admit. I would honestly be a little surprised, but then I am a bit of a pessimist sometimes. It's just my observation. Still nobody in, so we'll just keep going. Make a post about it. Boom. Okay. Oh, we got one person. Welcome. Hello and welcome. And now we don't have anybody again. All right, well, let's see. We got to share it also to Mistwood Publishing. Although weirdly, like Mistwood Publishing has a decent following, especially on Instagram, but not a lot of people see it. I think the Facebook algorithm just, I don't have it figured out. It is a tricky, sticky, fickle beast. See event draft. Shouldn't be a draft, it should be live. Let's see. I have to remember where it is. Create settings. I even tried making like the Mistwood. Oh, that's not what I want. I even tried making the Mistwood Publishing official, like meta verified. I don't know if I'm going to keep it because, you know, what's really the point if it doesn't make any difference? You know, like I don't really care that much about a check mark, you know? So I still have a hard time figuring out, like they make it weirdly, there's the option. Ah, it went away. Let's see. Well, we already, okay. Well, can we go to the page? There we go. 0 interested, 2 going. So again, you know, not really counting on much of a turnout, but you know, I feel like I need to do my just desserts, you know? I don't know what that means. We are live. Now let's see if that makes a difference. But judging by the fact that nobody responded, I'm going to guess that probably not super effective. I mean, like, I feel like Facebook changed so much about how things work. It's like way more difficult to navigate for me, at least. But we'll give it a little while and we'll see if anybody shows up. If somebody does, we'll engage, and if nobody shows up, I guess, what else are you going to do? Everything on my social media right now is just gonna have to like take a break because it's just it's all negative stuff. It's all negative. I won't stay on terribly long because at the end of the day, I do have other things to get done, and I am extraordinarily tired taking care of all the kids. And if nobody shows up, that wouldn't stop me from doing a live stream on the last night, or the night before the last, I should say, or maybe both, because that's the end. That's all you have, you know. And I'm not gonna lie, starting to get a little, nervous about things. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little nervous. That we were, if we were going to make it to the goal, let's see, entire screen. All right, so now we're sharing the screen, so we can kind of look at the campaign a little bit. We've been stuck at, we were stuck at 69% for a long time. And I was able to, scrounge up a few backers, but we have about $530 left to raise. And, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous about it, especially because at the halfway point of even after the first few days of any campaign, interest starts to decline. And, the worry is that people will forget about it, like people will forget that they wanted to get the book. It's like, how do I get the word out? How do I communicate to people? How do I get people's attention? People's hard-earned money is people's hard-earned money. And, what do you got to do to, convince people to depart with that money? It's not easy. I mean, even when the one time that I went to a, what's it called? I'm blanking on a Comic-Con. The one time I went to a Comic-Con, I mean, you have a lot of exposure, and it's like how do I describe this? It's like really exhausting because you have hundreds of people and most of them are just walking right by you, right? And they're not at all interested. And, maybe they're interested. Maybe they are. But most people walk right by. I came prepared and I had very shiny, very like almost like trading card, like business cards. And, I was asking anybody like, hey, do you want a free, cool card? Um, it's free. And most people accept it, especially because it was holographic, so it was shiny. But, being at a Comic-Con, which is primarily my method of exposure, and again, it was very effective, but it was also very draining. It's like a crowdfunding campaign is very emotionally draining, but going to like a Comic-Con is like you're taking the anxiety of a month to like just putting it in a few days. But it's also like fun and exciting because you're with these other people who have the same dream or a very similar dream as you. And so I'd like to do more of it. The big drama with the first one I went to was thank you to whoever is viewing. What was I saying? Oh, yes, the big drama with the first and only Comic-Con that I've gone to is that it was on Easter weekend. And it was specifically, I didn't realize it when I signed up for it, that it was Easter weekend. And that was a pretty big point of contention because it was Audrey's first Easter, and it definitely created a lot of drama. I got in some pretty big trouble. I was in the doghouse for sure. So the first campaign we did for the Veil of Stars had 85 backers. Now that was when I was very closely knit with this movement called Comicsgate, which was all about crowdfunding private projects. And, as you can see here, I have been emailing those people, but only 4 people have seen it. So most people not really looking at it. I'm sending these emails to those 80 backers, but nobody's actually reading it. It said there was a comment on here. Let's see. Oh, well, that's intense. Well, let's apply because the new campaign. Of course, Paul is an artist that I've hired in the past, so. But, he's saying that he's not going to buy anything from Indiegogo. Well, the good news is the new campaign's not on Indiegogo. It's on Kickstarter. So I'm glad I checked this. But now let's look and see what I was able to do for Emerald Knights. So I'm comparing like the stats, right? Well, let's go back just one second. So it doesn't say how many people saw it. Where did let's see. I don't know where I saw where it was telling me how many people saw it, but it was like the numbers were shockingly small. So people are not, checking this. Like when I make updates on Indiegogo, everybody who backed the campaign, the Veil of Stars, gets an email, right? And so in theory, it would alert people to, hey, we have the sequel to the book that you backed is now live. Are you interested? And, the reality is that nobody's really looking at them, looking at these emails. Of course, maybe Indiegogo only tracks it if they actually go to the website, not just read the email. Who knows? So let's look at the Emerald Knights campaign. I've made, I think, one update on that. The thing about Indiegogo is they don't like it when you use your... Now, see, that's a little bit more encouraging. They don't like it when you use your like your former campaigns to make updates for anything but that campaign. So we had 31 pledges for Emerald Knights, and we're able to raise more than what our current goal is. So, you know, that's... I think part of it's the price tag. You know, maybe because the Veil of Stars, if I'm remembering correctly, each book was worth $10. Is there a way to look at the actual page? Oops. That's not what I wanted to do. Pledge manager, crowdfunding, upcoming draft. Set up stretch pay. Newest. Yeah, I don't think that there's a way to see it, but I'm pretty darn sure. Well, let's see. What does this mean? Email notifications sent. Email notifications opened. Email clicks. So this one had 30 people out of 103 open the email. Same thing with this one. 4 views on the actual post. Interesting. So let's go and let's look at Emerald Knights then in that way. 7 views, 16 emails opened. So, I mean, that's better than nothing. That is for sure. That's better than nothing. So, I mean, I'll probably keep up with that. You know, it's totally possible that some people are waiting until the last few days to back it. It's just like, I don't want to sound, I don't know what the word is, but it would be less stressful for me if people didn't wait. So like once the campaign is like we've met the goal, then I can like take a sigh of relief and kind of like kick into gear. Like once we get the goal funded, which we are almost under $500 away from being able to do that. Once we have that, I can go ahead and order, you know, I can get things really just rolling right now, right? We've officially gone down to 14 days to go. So that was kind of the countdown for today. But I can go ahead and order a sample. And the new printer actually does, as far as I'm aware, like an actual printed proof, which is awesome. The other company wouldn't do that. So I'll actually be able to see a copy of the book before, you know, we print however many it is that we end up printing. So, you know, it'll be nice once I can take that sigh of relief. So if Emerald Knights had 31 backers and we are currently at 16, and I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, that's a very small number. The reality is that, and I'm not kidding you, over half of what is currently funded came from one person. And, you know, that person, I mean, really, I obviously owe it all to everybody that's backed, but that one person really went above and beyond what I mean, it, absolutely mind-boggling, right? Did not see that coming. There are about, as I made an update about this, there are a few more people that I'm fairly confident are going to back the campaign. Maybe they're waiting to see like closer to the end, you know, what they would they want to put the campaign to the end, but they're waiting to see, how much is that going to be. So I mean, that's possible. There are people that do that. The one thing I would say is just like a reminder that Kickstarter, and this is important for current backers and people who are planning on backing equally so, Kickstarter does not charge people until the campaign ends and only if the goal is reached. So if we don't get the goal by 14 in 14 days, then nobody gets charged. Nobody's money, like you just won't have spent that money. That's both a positive and a negative of Kickstarter. Like Indiegogo, you get charged right when you back it. And that's both a positive and a negative, because I mean, there are Kickstarters where people's payment gets declined because they were ready to pay for it when they backed it, but life happens, and by the time the campaign ends, they're like, oh shoot, I don't actually have the money right now to pay for it. So I have heard of that sort of thing happening. So I mean, that's some of the negatives of Kickstarter. And to be completely honest with you, the only reason I did Kickstarter was because I had heard that it was so much better than Indiegogo. And I got to be honest with you guys, I think Indiegogo is better. I know that a big part of my success on the Veil of Stars, which had over 80 backers, was because of I was a lot more connected in this YouTube community called Comicsgate. And it was my first like big book. I mean, there was the Sylvan Mist, but that was different. So, there was a lot of hype around it. I will say that having a smaller backer number makes shipping a lot less complicated. But I mean, I am seeing like a trend, and maybe you can see maybe why I consider Emerald Knights to not be super successful, because I mean, I went from 85 backers to 31. But one thing that's worth mentioning is that the average pledge value in the Veil of Stars was $48.75, and Emerald Knights was $75.39, and that's because the Veil of Stars was like $10, whereas Emerald Knights was an art book, and this book that we're doing right now is massive, so it costs a lot more to print it. So anyway, that makes a big difference. Kind of a crazy story that happened today. Let me just make my screen full for just a second here. So today, this week, it's just me. If you're talking about the Indie Comic-Con, I got the Veil of Stars. Really? Wow. Okay. It was the Indianapolis Comic-Con. That is what I was talking about. Well, thanks for tuning in. It's hard to know, like, when people buy books from you at a Comic-Con, like who is, actually going to read it, like who, because the book is $10. So a lot of people go to Comic-Con looking to spend like a lot more than that. So, I mean, maybe like some people are like, I don't know. Again, I tend to be a bit of hard on myself. Maybe like you think that people are buying it almost out of pity, but that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that, because you're never sure if, anybody that you interact with at Comic-Con is going to remember you past, the next week, right? I will say one thing that I realized was, so my wife was not helping most of the days at Comic-Con, but she was there on Sunday. And when she was present, we sold a lot more books because she has better customer service. She's pretty, pretty. I'm not pretty. That's okay. So it would be nice if I could somehow make but she doesn't really like doing it. So I don't know how you circumnavigate that. But when I worked at Wendy's, my nickname was Squidward. So I genuinely try to have good customer service, but it's like I'm just not good at faking stuff. I am the same person that I am around everybody. Like what you see is who I am all the time. I don't really wear masks around different people because I'm a terrible actor. I can't pretend very well. Yeah, I mean that's the reality. So weird story this morning. Sarah's on a cruise, so it's just me taking care of the kids, and it was a bit stressful because Henry's school got delayed 2 hours, which meant that the people that were going to take him to school, like, what are we going to do? Right. So they had to end up skipping a class, which, I was very thankful for, but I also felt terrible because they had to skip a class. They're in college. So, college is expensive. So I'm on my way to work, and it had just snowed. That's why they had a 2-hour delay. But my school that I teach at did not have a 2-hour delay. So I'm driving there, and there's this guy pretty far away, and he's got his blinker on to turn, and I'm like, this guy will have turned by the time I get there. I can see the cars coming on the other, like, towards us, and get closer, he still hasn't turned, which is pretty, Ohio drivers are that way. Never underestimate their overcautiousness. Anyway, I'm starting to get pretty close, and he still hasn't turned. So I start hitting the brake, and if it wasn't icy, it would have been fine. But because it was icy, I started sliding, and I just narrowly, moved out of the way to where I didn't hit him at all, but I ended up in a ditch. And so that, lucky that I didn't hit the car, but, unlucky that the situation happened at all. Anyway, not 30 seconds later, this Ford, like F-150, rolls up, and 2 Mennonites come out, and they help me push my car out of the ditch. These like strong, burly Mennonites with the beards and the hats in like an F-150 Ford, because Amish don't drive cars, but the Mennonites can. Anyway, the guy that was taking forever to turn also got out of his car, and it was pretty clear that he was high, so maybe that was part of why he took forever to turn. So, it is what it is. But yeah, that's the current event of today. That's the weird story of the day that I had to tell all my students about because, when they're writing notes or doing the awkward silence, they got to fill it with weird stories that are going to make them laugh, especially if I'm teaching something boring like I am right now. But how about those, the USA hockey? I mean, that was incredible. I think that, let me share my screen again. I think that one of those photos is going to go down as one of the most iconic photos of the decade. USA, USA, indeed. So if you guys don't know, I'm a pretty big hockey fan. Like, I watch the Carolina Hurricanes. Like, that's my team. I've been to a lot of their games. I have a perfect winning record for home games. Let's do this one, if it will clear up. I just think that this photo specifically is like textbook material. Like, this would be in textbooks. It is, I think, one of the most iconic pictures of the decade. One of the other ones that I think is going to be end up being one of the most iconic pictures of the decade is the one of Trump after he got shot and he pumped his fist in the air. Say whatever you want, but that is an epic photo. And it just captures so much with the blood. But yeah, Jack Hughes plays for the New Jersey Devils. And so he's, that's a rival of the Carolina Hurricanes. So I usually don't like Jack Hughes, but I love him right now, him and his brother, and I love Hellebuck. It was extra special because I know who these guys are from watching the NHL. My wife and I watch almost every Carolina Hurricanes game. So it was pretty cool because to me, they're not just like a new face. Like, I've been following hockey for almost 4 years now. And so, like, I don't know. It was cool. It was really neat. And it was great that the women won. It was great that the men won. And it was really just awesome to like see these athletes talk about how great it was. I mean, they made history. We haven't won the gold medal in hockey since 1980 against the Soviet Union. And it absolutely baffles me that a very large portion of the country seems to be more mad about us winning than Canada. And I don't really I know why, but it's just sad because I mean, this is awesome. And I've seen interviews where the hockey players like Jack here are like asked about the controversialness of it. And you can just kind of see like it immediately just kind of like kills his mood. And like it just like bugs me that he has to deal with that. Like, think about how weird it is that he has to deal with Americans saying that him taking a phone call from the president was like morally apprehensible. Like, I don't care which president it is, if it was Biden, Obama, Trump, Bush, Carter, like if they called me, I'm picking up the phone. That's awesome. Like it doesn't matter. And I feel like it's only in recent American culture that we can't even like let these guys just celebrate this freaking awesome thing that they did, you know. Anyway, it's crazy. Yeah, the Jack Hughes is the one with the broken teeth. He went into that hockey game with a full mouth of teeth, and he left with it broken. A lot of hockey players will get like temporary, like, so he'll probably get like a mouth. It almost looks like a retainer, but it has like, they'll probably take the rest of that tooth out and then he'll put the retainer in. It'll like have a fake tooth. And he'll probably wear that until he like retires from hockey, and then he'll get like a permanent like veneer. Or if he wants to, maybe he'll get a veneer now. But a lot of hockey players deal with this, like getting their teeth knocked out. And like it's such a great sport. Like, I will give it to Canada. It's a great sport. Very entertaining to watch. Like, the fact that his tooth was knocked out, like, that's not uncommon. Like, he was more concerned about whether or not they were going to go on the power play, right, than his teeth. I remember there was a Carolina Hurricane player it was last year. He was literally like shaking his teeth around in his glove, like talking to the ref, like, where's my penalty? Because they're supposed to get like a 4-minute penalty if it draws blood, and like a 4-minute power play. And to me, like, it's just this crazy sport where people get hit and they just keep going and they keep playing. They don't stop the game to switch who's on the ice. Like, it's very fast paced. It's very violent. It's very aggressive. In most other sports, if you get hit aggressively, it's some sort of a penalty. They have to stop the game, and there's like the fake like crying and all that. But hockey's like, no, that's like part of the sport, and you can actually get into a fist fight with somebody as long as the gloves are dropped. Then it's the understanding is you guys can fight until somebody falls on the ground, and there's not like neither team is shorthanded. There's no power play. Basically, the people that fight get a 5-minute timeout, and there's no real penalty. It's still going to be 5-on-5 hockey. It's just that those two players have to have a timeout. And that's it. That's the only consequence. And hockey is that sport that as soon as I always knew I was going to like it. And as soon as I actually went to a game in person, I was hooked. I mean, it blew me away. But yeah, they do have the technology for that. There was a player that was on the Carolina Hurricanes up until this year, and he was missing his 2 front teeth. Very odd guy. He had his own like zoo of exotic animals down in Texas. He pretty much always had the teeth missing. But then there was like a day around Christmas where he dressed as Santa, and he suddenly had 2 front teeth, and it was one of those retainer things. So it's really weird to know that like a lot of Hollywood actors have veneers. Like, my wife and I are watching Smallville, and suddenly Lex Luthor's teeth seem a little bit bigger than his mouth was like made to hold, and they're suddenly really white and really straight, and you're like, those aren't real. You had the real ones pulled out, and that's, whatever, I guess. It's your money, but it's just interesting to me. It's always interested me. When my wife first described what veneers were, I was like, ugh. Like, because they like take your teeth out, or they like shave it down to like really high up, and then they like drill. Anyway, it's dentistry, man. It's a crazy thing. So let's look at some AI stuff. Now, again, I have to specify that I do agree that AI is a dangerous thing. It certainly can be. But the way that I use it, it's really not that, it's not dangerous. So I think my favorite one from last time is this. This was created on a previous version. You can still view it here, but some settings and features are unavailable. Okay. Yeah, they updated this, so I'm going to have to like re-look at some of the interface because it's completely different now. I both love and hate it when things do that, But look at the beard on this thing. It's epic. I absolutely love it. We did some hockey ones last time too with Green Lantern. We started out with this, which was a bit uncomfortable to think about. So yeah. This was, I think I had I wanted a gnome riding a house cat or a tiger or something, and this is what it came up with. Which I think that's pretty darn epic. I still love that. And that's what I use AI for. It's like I have an interesting prompt. Let's, see what it puts out, right? So let's see what we got here. It's all different now. Characters and worlds. Upload image. Okay, but what about my models? Image. Because don't tell me you took away my models. I don't like that. All right, well, let's go back here. Create image, describe your image. Oh, that's weird. I don't like the update so far. Let's see. A monkey with antlers, like from Veil of Stars, is Superman. A colony, I don't know if that's how you spell colony, of rats. Okay. Now, you could used to, maybe that's what this is. Prompt from image, enhance prompt. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, there's the model. Okay. I'm starting to see how it's laid out now. We still got people. Okay. I don't want to use my credits if nobody's watching, Capuchin monkey? Well, I didn't say that. All right, well, we'll see what comes out with it. Nano Banana Pro. I don't want that. Where are my models? I honestly don't like the new interface at all. All models. That's not helping. Where are my models? Don't tell me you erased my models. I'm not going to be happy. Google's premium image model. I don't like that at all. I also feel like it's just kind of, it's a lot less clear about what to do. Like, honestly, if I can't have my models, it kind of, I would probably cancel my subscription, because that's what made this interesting for me, because I was able to make my own models. More models coming soon, but where are my models? I don't like that. Maybe I can Google where they went, because I don't care for it. I guess let's just see what it makes for now. Let's see. Open Art AI. Where did my models go? If your custom models or images have disappeared in OpenAI, it's likely due to the expiration of free trials. Well, that's not it. How about after update? Why do they have to do these things? They made it worse. Using the rollback feature in Character Creator. I don't know. That's not very helpful. Now this looks better here. This looks like the old way. Oh. I don't know what that is. Yeah, this looks better. This is, okay, this is the old interface here. Yes. Now, my trained models. Here we go. Now we're cooking with oil, gas, and gravy, ladies and gentlemen. Boom. That's what I'm looking for. Red Moon. Now let's retype our prompt in, because whatever this is, I mean, that is kind of hilarious. There's the rats. I mean, that's pretty cool. Although this makes no sense. But also, I always find it funny that they clearly model it after Henry Cavill Superman in AI. Never David Corenswet or Christopher Reeves. I'm just saying. But I am a pretty big Henry Cavill fan, so I'm a little biased. I did like the new Superman, but I really like Man of Steel a lot. I know that's controversial, but let's see. Monkey, that is Superman. Monkey with antlers, that is Superman. Saves rats. Colony of rats. In outer space. Because that's not outer space. It's a bit laggy, so is outer space one word? Yes, no. I didn't think it was one word, but you never know. See how much more like simple this is than the new interface. Like I couldn't find anything in the old one or in the new one. All right. I could read that, but I'm not going to. Let's make 4. Create for me. Do your work, AI. Again, I just use AI to get ideas. Do you find different AI generators produce different results, or are they pretty much the same? It's pretty much the same. Now, the reason that I like OpenAI art is that you can create your own models. And I'm sure that others have that, but oh, that's awesome. See, my models are cooler. I mean, look at this monkey. That's actually pretty darn epic and amazing. So like this is why I like OpenAI art. So what I did was I found artwork on like Pinterest that I liked, and you upload them, and it has to be like a minimum of like 5 images. And you want to find images that have generally the same style. That's so freaking awesome. Look at this. I don't know what this, I mean, he's not very Superman-y, but he looks cool. And it will basically create future, like the prompts you give it will make it in the style of the model that you made. So like this stuff here, like the images I uploaded for Blood Moon were like specifically images that were already AI, but had like a certain aesthetic that I liked. And it's kind of like that grainy look that you see in here. Like, get past the pirates here. Not those. Yeah, this one will do. So like this graininess, like this is the aesthetic of the kind of the images that I uploaded for the model. So like that's why it's called Blood Moon or whatever, or Red Moon. And so it creates art in like the style that you trained it to try to mimic, which is why I can understand why artists maybe really hate that. Because if you could take really, I mean, I could take like Jim Lee's art and like upload it in here and it would mimic his artwork. The thing about AI is I love that. Look at his hands. It's extremely limited in like your ability to control it. So, I mean, I can retype the prompt to try to correct it, or I can click very subtle variation or very strong variation, which I just did. But you really don't have a whole lot of control over it. And like the idea that you would use AI to make like a comic book strip or something, it's not quite there yet in terms of what civilians are able to use, because the character won't look exactly the same in each panel. I feel like we've stumbled upon something here. You know, very villainous. Dude, these monkeys have not, you know, like the monkeys from the Wizard of Oz, man. They're cooked. Like this monkey is giving off like serious evil horned monkey Doctor Strange vibes. I really like the rats in this one. I don't know why, but they just look like, hey, he's not saving us. We're on the same side. So I really like this first one. because it actually fits the prompt for the most part. Maybe he already saved these rats. And then I really like this one because of the horns, and he just looks creepy, and the rats are all on his side. This one doesn't look so much like a monkey. It looks more almost like a sci-fi, but I love it. I like it. And the rats almost look, they don't really look rats like rats. But I absolutely love this one. He just has, even though his fingers are all messed up, it almost works for me. And I love his feet. They're really creepy looking. So like I'm typing in this prompt, but I'm not necessarily looking for like a very literal translation. Now you can change the weight, right? So if I put the weight further over here, then it will take a heavier inspiration from this model. And you can always go image to image, but it doesn't work as well as you would think it would, especially like pose reference. It doesn't work that well. Maybe, I mean, if you're really good at creating prompts for AI, but that's what the whole auto enhance prompt thing is. But I mean, there are whole jobs dedicated to people that can create good AI prompts to make AI work best for you. One thing that I have noticed that works better with AI, especially with like book editing, is being extremely polite. If you're very polite, it actually gives you better results. Maybe not so much with the art, but with editing, definitely. Let's switch to Blood Moon and see if that gives us anything very interesting. These are really the only two models I use, because the others, that was how I kind of like realized, like you could do some pretty unethical things with other people's artwork. So I was uploading works of art that I had paid for, just to see what the AI did with them. And it wasn't really all that impressive, to be honest with you. These are much like these two models create much more thought-provoking and imagination-provoking ideas. At least for me. I can't speak for everyone else. Well, good luck putting the girls to bed. I know what that's like. My hope is that we're back down to 0. Well, it was nice while it lasted. Monkeys. Yeah, Blood Moon is a bit more red. Very ominous. Oh. Fun fact for anybody who watches this later, I actually got the idea for the antlered monkey in The Veil of Stars from an episode of The Office. Where Michael's discussing like creating a new god, and he's like, what if we had the head of a monkey and the antlers of a deer or an elk, and he says some other animal for the body, but I was already like, oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. I am just going to go ahead and no, that's not the original. Yeah, there it is. I'm going to download this one because I actually really like it. I like it a lot. It gets the creative juices flowing. I also like that one quite a bit. This one is definitely like the closest to the prompt that I put in, so we're going to save that one too. I saved some of the ones from last time. Although I don't think I saved this one. That one was pretty intense. I liked that one. I like it a lot. Papalot. Well, let's look and see if anything's changed. I'm not going to hold my breath. Doesn't look like it. No. No change. Is what it is. Oh. Interesting rats. Very interesting. I just kind of like this model because it has that 80s fantasy vibe. You just can't get it anywhere else. They don't make art like that anymore. We'll do one more round and then I'll probably cut the live stream since we have, well, we have an audience now. We have one person. Hello, person. We have Monkey AI. I put in the prompt, antlered monkey saves rats in outer space. And this is what we've gotten. I like the first one and that one quite a bit. That one, I can't explain why I like it, but I do. I'm actually impressed with the S's. I like the thing is these rats have like sickle arms. Yeah. Again, I use AI to like help come up with ideas that, you know, just like weird, bizarre, I just have fun with it. It's not meant to rob anybody of any money or steal ideas from an artist or something. But yeah. By the way, it is the 40th anniversary of the best Batman comic book ever published, or at least this last weekend was. The Dark Knight Returns has hit 40 years old. And I'm teaching that comic book in my comic book elective class right now. So I like the redness of this monkey. There's a story in here, maybe without the antlers, but I'm going to save that one too. See, like, you never know what you're going to get. And like certain little things, like I like his face in this one. Certain little things will just like spark my imagination, just like the lighting and stuff, like really intrigues me. And I just really love kind of like how it feels like those old like 80s fantasy movie covers. And so I'll just like do this for fun, just like come up with weird ideas. Like, we came up with this last time. I don't know. It's pretty neat. Is it worth all the stuff that AI takes? I don't know. Probably not. But it's enjoyable. The hope is that hopefully by the end of the night, we can get at least one more backer. And more importantly, we're like $30 away from only having 500 left to raise. So that's hopefully where we end the night, but we'll see. The middle of the campaign is usually particularly slow. But as we looked at the beginning of the stream, the Veil of Stars had 85 backers, but that was when crowdfunding was at its absolute peak in interest. And I was really tightly into this Comicsgate group, which was really big into crowdfunding at the time. By the time of Emerald Knights, we ended with 31 backers. I don't know what our end count will be with this one. I'm hoping it's close to 30, but I don't know. But that is kind of a trend that you don't necessarily like to see. Obviously, what really matters is that it gets funded. But the decrease in people, it is what it is, you know. It's unfortunate, but that's why I got to keep going to Comic-Cons. I got to, you know, increase the fan base in whatever ways I can. Because the reality is that the market is oversaturated. The same tools that allow me to publish my books also work for everybody else. And so there's this heavy oversaturation of the market. And so it's really hard to stick out. And it's really hard to get new customers because, I mean, a lot of people are feeling that their budgets are tight. Oh, that's true. I like that. Very dramatic. Feeling that their wallets are tight, and you know, this book is bigger. This book costs more to print, and so we're, you know, asking for a higher. You know, it's not $10 like the Veil of Stars. Look, the reason that is what it is the Veil of Stars per copy costs $6. Right? So that's how I could charge 10, you know? This book costs like 12 per copy. And one thing I learned last time, I like this. One thing I learned last time is don't underestimate shipping costs. So, like, in reality, we only need $2,000. The last 200 are for Kickstarter, Kickstarter fees and taxes, and a little bit to negate some of the shipping costs. To be completely honest with you, my plan for paying for the shipping costs, like the actual shipping cost, is I'm going to do DoorDash. I hope that people realize that, you know, I am pretty determined not to use my family's money on this, but that doesn't mean that I haven't made financial sacrifices to make this book a reality myself. I sold 2 of my statues. Well, I canceled one, getting a refund, and sold my cheetah, you know, statue. So, you know, I understand, and I'm doing DoorDash to help make up the, you know, the rest of the difference, because the goal that we have set isn't even like to print the number of copies that we want actually costs a little bit more than what the goal is. But, you know, I'm taking on that last bit through other means. I have a discount code. I am door dashing. I've sold some things. So, I mean, it's, you know, I'm doing my part in that realm and also doing my part to try to raise awareness, you know, but it's hard. You know, at the beginning of the stream, we looked at the number of people that were opening the notifications, the updates that I was sending out from the Veil of Stars campaign. Because if I make an update on this, then all 85 backers of the Veil of Stars get an email. So 103 emails were sent, so I don't know how that works. 30 were opened. So, I mean, it's worth the time. It doesn't take that long to make these updates. But, you know, it is also like, it's hard. You know, exposure is hard. The algorithms on social media are really difficult for me to get. Now, let's do a new prompt. Black dog wears a wig. Will you wear wigs? When will you wear wigs? While sitting on a planet. The depths of hell. It's hard when there's this lag. Depths of hell. And then let's do an auto enhance. Quick enhance of the prompt. Image of a scene set in the fiery depths of hell. All right. Let's see what it gets, and then we'll go to the other model and see what we get there. Just checking the live stream. Got 2 viewers, so that's good. The goal is to get another backer today so that we can get to the point where we have less than $500 left to raise. We have 14 days left to the campaign. I don't like that at all. What's up with the main? It's a weird planet, but it does look like hell. What is it? Where's this? The idea of, oh, the wig. That's what it is. Interesting interpretation of a wig. Let's use the other model because I should come up with more models for the next live stream. Probably do another live stream for the night before the last day because the day counter like goes down at about the time that I start the live stream. So I don't want to like do a live stream when there's like 30 minutes left of the campaign. So I'll probably do one for the last 24 hours and then try to do one for the last few minutes, like the last hour. So that one would have to be a little bit earlier. But that one would probably, did we? Okay. Looks very similar. Okay, I like this one. That's an amazing wig. Will you wear wigs? When will you wear wigs? What in the world? This is the type of entertainment that I can provide you. I don't think that's a wig, but it is rather bloody. It's bloody. Okay, well, we have to save this one because it's bizarre. I'm going to make a Facebook post with all of my favorite AI images that we came up with during this live stream. Let's do a cat now. Let's see, where does it say a black dog? Let's do a cat. I don't know if I want black. Let's do just a cat with fur. As colorful as a rainbow. Well, let's see what you can spit out now. Show me what you got, AI. Show me what you got. Oh, yeah, we also did this, but I didn't really like them. It was in models that were not mine. Those models aren't as good. Let us see what it can do. Oh, here's the first one. Alrighty then. It's a cute cat, other than the wig. It took the wig to be the rainbow. Like, that's the interpretation. I mean, he's got a good head of hair on him. This is like I use AI to, I would never hire an artist to make that. I can just do this. Let's see, where is it getting the black hair from? Well, don't see any black hair in the description. So where are you getting it from? A fluffy cat. As dark as colorful. That's the problem. Oops. Let's try that again. How you doing? And we're back down to 0. More than one ingestion is using the primary URL. I don't know what that means. Still black cats. That's not a cat. Well, I tried. What if, okay, let's, one more. I know there's nobody watching, but this is for my honor here. With fur like a rainbow. Let's see what we get. I can see that there's some interesting results here. That's a dog. That is a cat. See, that's more what I'm looking for. It's truly bizarre. I like the vibes. Let's lessen the weight. And then probably call it a night. Because I have work in the morning. Do you have work in the morning? The 0 people watching right now. I don't think that improved it. Maybe we get rid of the wig. There's the dog. Change it to a hat. Hello, Rolo. See, that's what I was looking for. That's it right there. Boom. All right. Well, maybe we do a very subtle, very strong variation of this. See what comes up. That's not what I meant to click. You got a viewer again. All right, let's see what it came up with. So I think that's the original. It's more or less the same. Now that's the king right there. That's also the king. This is the kind of thing that you post to Facebook. Like, look at what you guys missed. We were creating art together. I absolutely love these. That's beautiful. All right. Well, it's 9:40, so probably going to cut the stream here in a minute. Still hoping that we can finish the night with. Gonna cut the stream here in a minute. Still hoping that we can finish the night with that one backer, so that we can get down to where we have less than $500 left to raise. Again, the last 200 are to pay for taxes and like Kickstarter's fees. Once we get to that 2,000 mark, after there, like once we get to that point, I am going to do what? I mean, I'm already, but like whatever it takes to get there. But anyway, I hope everybody has a swell night. We had some interesting AI art that we made. If you are just joining us and you're wanting to see that art, I'm going to post it on the Mistwood Facebook account and Instagram, as well as my personal, if you wanted to take a look at those. We also discussed the Olympics and men's hockey and women's hockey briefly, and we discussed this weird story about how I ended up in a ditch this morning. And we looked at a lot of AI. We looked at campaigns of the past and compared kind of the trajectory of where things are going. But anyway, I have work in the morning. There will be another campaign for the last 24 hours, and there will be another live stream for the last few hours of the campaign as well. Until then, have a wonderful time, and let's keep all working together to get this campaign funded and to the finish line. Have a great night. God bless.